You keep hoping something will shift, that the weight you carry will disappear, that the noise will fade, that the timing will finally be right. You wait for clarity. You wait for courage. You wait for someone to understand. And in that waiting, your life slips past. But the truth is brutal. Nobody's coming. Not with the perfect words, not with a sign, not with a plan that makes everything easier. If you want a new chapter, you have to write it yourself. You've been taught to believe answers come from the outside, from books, from mentors, from luck, from timing. But no one told you the most important truth of all. You are the answer. You've already lived enough pain to build a foundation. You've already survived the things you thought would destroy you. You've already seen what delay costs. You've already proven that you can take the hits. But instead of building, you've been hesitating. Instead of choosing, you've been asking for permission. Instead of moving, you've been waiting for the fear to go away. It won't. Courage doesn't come from safety. It comes from movement. And every moment you wait, you reinforce the lie that you're not ready. You hand your power to circumstances. You trade your potential for comfort disguised as planning. You are not confused. You are avoiding. You are not lost. You are hesitating. You know what needs to be done, but it doesn't feel good enough, fast enough, safe enough. And so you delay. You overthink. You distract yourself with more information, more ideas, more mental rehearsals, as if overthinking will somehow make the leap less painful. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. The leap doesn't get easier. You do. The first time you show up for yourself, it won't feel powerful. It'll feel awkward. It'll feel quiet. It'll feel like no one's watching and nothing's changing. That's how the climb begins. Not with fireworks, but with a decision. And that decision is yours. There is no mentor, no strategy, no perfect system that can replace your own voice saying, "I'm done waiting." Done waiting for a break. Done waiting for motivation. Done waiting for everything to feel right. Done waiting for validation, permission, applause. The most dangerous part of waiting isn't the time you lose. It's the belief you reinforce that something else needs to happen before you move. That something outside of you is in control. That someone else will eventually understand and lift you up. But no one else lives with your regrets. No one else carries the weight of what you never built. No one else loses when you shrink. You do. And that means the rescue was never coming because you were never really lost. You were simply disconnected from your own power. Look around. Every excuse you've made has led to the same feeling. Stuck. You've tried waiting. You've tried hoping it would get easier. You've tried everything except trusting yourself enough to take full responsibility. This isn't about blame. It's about reclamation. About standing inside the storm and saying, "I will not live one more day pretending I don't have the power to change." It's about remembering who you were before fear took the wheel, before distraction became normal, before you silenced the voice that told you, "You're capable of more." The change doesn't start with a perfect strategy. It starts with you refusing to betray yourself any longer. It starts when you finally say, "I'm not waiting, I'm building." And here's what no one tells you about action. You don't need belief to begin. You don't need proof. You just need to move with conviction that you are worth the risk. Because what's the alternative? Another month of delay? Another year of almost? Another lifetime of if only? The pain of failure is real, but it's clean. It moves you forward. It teaches. It sharpens. The pain of hesitation? That's different. That one rots you from the inside. It erodes self-respect, minute by minute, choice by choice. You already know what it feels like to not try, to sit in your own silence and wonder if you're wasting your life, to see others build, move, fall, rise, while you stand still. And you already know that nothing changes until you change. So stop trying to feel ready. Start acting like you're ready, and the feeling will follow. Because readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. And every day you delay that decision, you reinforce the idea that your dream is optional. But it's not optional. It's oxygen. You need it. And the only one choking it out is you. Stand up, start. Stumble if you must. Bleed if you must. But move, because if you're not moving, you're disappearing. Not all at once, but slowly, day by day, until one day there's nothing left but the ghost of who you could have been. And that ghost doesn't go away. It lives beside you, reminding you that you knew. You always knew. And still, you waited. There is a silence inside you that knows the truth. It doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It doesn't care about applause. It just waits for you to stop running in circles and listen. You don't need more proof. You don't need someone to validate your hunger. You don't need a green light from people who can't even carry their own ambition. You need to stop pretending you're powerless when what you really are is afraid. Afraid of being wrong. Afraid of looking foolish. Afraid of giving everything and still not being enough. But here's what matters more than fear: the life you haven't lived yet. You haven't seen your full strength because you haven't fully shown up. You haven't unlocked your next level because you've been too busy avoiding the discomfort that opens the door to it. Everything you want sits just beyond the things you don't want to feel, and you've trained yourself to avoid them. Not by being lazy, but by being efficient at convincing yourself that later is the better option. You say you're planning. You say you're learning. You say you're preparing. But underneath it all, you know, you're just afraid to bet on yourself. And I get it. When you've lost, when you've failed, when you've looked stupid, it's easier to wait. Waiting feels safer than risking another collapse. But that safety is a lie. Because while you wait, you lose anyway. Not with one massive crash, but with tiny moments of compromise. You shrink your dreams. You numb your voice. You get good at pretending that comfort is progress, but deep down, you feel it. That constant friction, that tension between who you are and who you could be. And that tension doesn't disappear with time. It grows. Because time doesn't solve avoidance, it magnifies it. Eventually, the pain of staying stuck will outweigh the fear of changing. Eventually, you'll realize that no one's going to hand you permission to live the life that's been burning in your chest. Eventually, you'll either rise or vanish. And maybe that's the part no one told you. That people don't always go out with a bang. Sometimes they just fade. They soften their voice. They settle. They blend in with the noise. And the world forgets they were ever trying to do something great. But not you. Not if you're still here. Not if some part of you is still listening, still fighting, still willing to stop making excuses and start building real momentum. So let's stop dressing fear up as logic. Let's stop pretending that perfection is necessary before action. Let's stop acting like life is going to wait for us to finally feel ready. Because it won't. You're either showing up for your life or you're leaving the door open for regret to take your place. You don't need motivation. You need movement. You don't need clarity. You need commitment. You don't need guarantees. You need guts. And it won't be clean. You'll take steps that feel clumsy. You'll say things that sound uncertain. You'll build in directions that need correction. But every mistake you make is a step forward, because you're finally moving. There's no cheat code to this, no shortcut to becoming who you were supposed to be, but there is a straight path. And it starts when you stop lying to yourself about what's holding you back. You're not too late, you're not too old, you're not underqualified. You're just stuck in a pattern that tells you action needs permission. It doesn't, it needs decision. So let me ask you something no one else has the courage to ask. Are you still waiting because you believe in your timing, or because you're terrified of what might happen if you gave it everything and still came up short? Because that fear, that what if, it's the price you pay when you care about something. It's the cost of doing anything meaningful. And if you're trying to live without that fear, you'll never start. You'll be stuck chasing a life where nothing's on the line and nothing matters. But when everything's on the line, you wake up differently, you train differently, you show up differently, because failure stops being fatal and becomes fuel. And yes, There will be people who don't understand what you're building, people who mock you, people who remind you of every past version of yourself, hoping you'll crawl back into it. But they don't matter, because they're not the ones who have to live with your potential. You are. They don't feel the regret in your chest. They don't hear the voice inside you at 2 a.m. They don't carry your unlived life. You do. So when you rise, rise for yourself, not to prove anyone wrong, not to win approval, not to make noise, but to silence the doubt that's been telling you to keep shrinking. You owe no one an explanation. You owe yourself a commitment, because the truth is, you never needed a better plan. You needed a stronger decision, and the moment you make it, you will unlock parts of yourself you haven't seen in years. Conviction, discipline, fire, clarity, vision. It's all there, buried under the dust of hesitation. And the second you stop waiting, you start finding it again. If you're going to rebuild, do it with both hands, not halfway, not when it's easy, not when you feel inspired. Do it when no one is watching. Do it when the silence is loud. Do it when you're tempted to believe that the past version of you had it right all along. That version was surviving. You're not here to survive anymore. You're here to create, to build, to rise on your own terms, to move forward even when it's messy, especially when it's messy. That's how you earn self-respect. Not by winning every time, not by being perfect, but by deciding that you will no longer abandon yourself. People think motivation is a wave, that it comes and goes. But what actually fades is permission, that quiet approval you keep waiting for from the world. And when you stop needing it, you stop waiting entirely. You begin doing the work whether it feels good or not. You begin answering your own voice instead of the doubts of others. You begin realizing that momentum doesn't come from feeling powerful. It comes from doing the things you once avoided. And suddenly, life starts shifting. Not because someone handed you a shortcut, but because you stopped being the one who kept stopping you. The truth is, you were always capable. But capacity is useless without direction. Potential means nothing without movement. So if you want to change your life, don't start with goals. Start with a vow, a decision that you will not keep living inside a version of yourself that you've outgrown. Decide that it ends here. The waiting, the justifying, the delay masked as doubt, all of it. It ends the moment you realize your future is not waiting to be discovered. It's waiting to be built. No one's going to place it in your hands. No algorithm, no mentor, no sign. Because there is no right moment, there is only now, and what you're willing to do with it. You don't need to believe in yourself. You just need to stop betraying yourself. Stop lying about what you're capable of. Stop pretending that procrastination is strategy. Stop convincing yourself that the version of you 5 years from now will magically become someone you aren't willing to become today. You keep waiting for confidence to show up. But confidence is a result, not a requirement. It's what you gain from doing what you once doubted you could do. And if you still feel lost, good. It means you're not numb. It means the voice inside you is still alive. It means the part of you that hasn't given up is still fighting to be heard. So feed that part, strengthen it, give it proof, not empty hope, not hype, proof, through action, through repetition, through discipline. Not every day will be a breakthrough. Not every step will be visible, but all of it will count. Because movement in the dark still builds light. And one day, you'll look back and realize you were never truly lost. You were just waiting for the version of you willing to rise. The world doesn't need a perfect you. It needs a present you, a decisive you, a version of you that doesn't look for external rescue because it's too busy becoming the rescue. So stop checking your reflection for signs of permission. Stop refreshing the screen for a sign. Stop outsourcing your fire to people who aren't built to carry it. Start showing up for the version of you that wants this badly enough to earn it. Because you can't manifest what you refuse to pursue. You can't reach what you won't chase. And you can't live a future you keep running from. You are not meant to be a passive witness to your own life. You are not background noise. You are the main character, the force, the architect. So what do you do now? You stand up, you take the hit, you take the risk, you leave behind the shallow comfort of waiting, and you walk into the friction, because that's where the next version of you lives. No fanfare, no announcement, just action. And when it gets heavy, good. That's proof you're not running anymore. That's proof you're stepping into your weight. That's proof you're becoming the one thing you kept searching for. Because all along, you weren't waiting for a sign. You were waiting for yourself.